Well, I guess it's time for the video no one asked for. This is a story time story. This is going back a long time. And not that anyone cares. I mean, you can't do things assuming people are going to care. You know, there might have been a time when a lot of people cared, and nowadays, most of those people have moved on. I had moved on, but you know what? There's a certain enjoyment doing stuff like this that I get. And I mean, it comes from a history of all kinds of different stuff. So, what is the history of this name I've chosen? Now, some people know. I know you're out there. Very few of you are going to find this and ever watch it again. But I may have talked about it back then, but it's all gone now. So, once upon a time, there was a YouTube character called the Phat Critic. Now, my experience with YouTube then, at the beginning, was very much as it is now. You're just trying to get groundswell, you know? Trying to get some videos out there, try and get some views, hope that someone somewhere notices, and that you start developing a following. That's not easy to do. I remember because I did it. Back in the day. We're talking, how long ago was it? Jesus. Sometimes I think about it and it boggles my mind. It was over 10 years ago. Longer. I think I was mid-20s? Early 20s. Probably. Yeah. 22 when I started, maybe? That was a long time ago. Not telling you how old I am. Anyway, it all started with discovering YouTube because I was at school and some guy told me about YouTube and I was like, what the hell is that? And he's like talking to me about, we're talking about mixed martial arts fighting, talking about the UFC, the Ultimate Fighter, when that first came out. And he's like, oh yeah, there's all these fighters and all these fights and da-da-da-da. I'm like, well, I got no way to watch that. I can only want to watch it when it comes on TV. He's like, nah, dude, just go on YouTube. And I was like, what's that? What's YouTube? Like a stupid dog. I actually said it exactly like that. No, I didn't. Anyway, so I discovered YouTube, started watching it, and I see all these fights, and I start looking in the comments, because that's what you do when you want to have your mind blown by what kind of people are out there. So I started looking in the comments, and I'm seeing all these opinions, all these people talking trash, and I was like, what the hell? So I started looking for videos of anybody talking about the fights. I didn't find any. All I found were a lot of people making hurtful comments and arguing with each other. So what I did is I made my first, this wasn't my first video on YouTube. I'd made a few and just no one cared. I remember my first video was just like an introduction to YouTube. I got like 4 views and then it just kind of died. And then 3 or 4 videos later and still nothing, nobody. I made this video and it was like I was sweaty, I was wearing a black tank top, my hair was a freaking mess. I'd had my hair done like a Canadian flag and it looked really stupid because this was like 2-3 weeks later and I've been wearing a hat to work every day, so the color had all run. So it was like orange, red, blonde. It looked so stupid. And that's one of the things I got made fun of for the most. Being made fun of is a huge part of this story. So I make this video about an old fight between Ken Shamrock and Tito Ortiz. So I make this video basically telling people to shut up about whining that the ref stopped the fight too early. That's what happened. That's what happens in a fight. If you're not defending yourself, you're done. The fight gets stopped. Well, the 4 views I had on my previous video was nothing compared to what happened with this video because there was a giant following of people who watched UFC related stuff. And so I got tons of views on that video. And by tons, I mean like 200-300. But that was massive. That was massive for somebody who just started out and didn't, immediately get discovered. So that video started getting tons of views. And I kept making videos, and I started getting comments. Awful, nasty, hateful comments. And I was like, wow, I'm receiving so much hate. Hate is a beautiful thing. If people hate you, they're talking about you. How do you think Paris Hilton got so popular? Who's Paris Hilton, you ask? That's the miracle of time. Thank Christ. Although we have way worse stuff than her now. Don't get me started. And that's one of the reasons why I don't often do videos about things I hate, because I feel it's adding to the fire. It's giving it some kind of media. And I know, who cares what I talk about right now, right? But any person in the know who talks about someone who I freaking hate, I'm like, don't talk about them. They're like Freddy Krueger. Take the power away by just never talking about them. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Something I like to do. I don't like to, it just happens. So after this video comes out, I start getting all these comments. Some good, mostly bad. And at first, I don't know how to handle it. It's like being bullied in elementary school all over again. So I push forward, keep making videos. And then I made the first video where I had my name, which nobody will remember this, but I do, because I got it all up here. It wasn't the Phat Critic at first. It was the Fat UFC Judge. How stupid is that? And then I said, critic of judging of sorts. And after that, I changed it to the Phat Critic, and that's what it became. Now that became a, at the time, YouTube thing. Not anymore, although every now and then I get recognized. Things started to explode after that. And by explode, I don't mean like huge, but pretty good. I mean, I've been recognized, well, back then, I got recognized out in public a couple times. Most of the people I talked to were American. Very few were Canadian. But I was recognized a couple of times by people just in the street. And I was like, whoa, that's something, right? Maybe. I mean, sure, one time was at a Wendy's drive-thru and the other was in a Mandarin. It's not saying anything good, but it happened. Anyway, I pushed forward, kept doing both kinds of videos, UFC and just regular stuff, goofy stuff that I like to do, the stuff I'm doing now. And the flair, the power, the heat all came from the UFC stuff. And eventually there were people on websites and forums and they were all talking smack, and a couple people came to my defense and, you know, befriended those people and they would help me with videos and stuff, and that was nice. I'd have guys sending me, you know, like, oh, this is the next UFC list of people that are coming up. Here's who they fought. Here's the... And I mean, I feel like the charisma was there. I had it, I didn't have the knowledge, and it took some time, but I got it. I eventually got the knowledge. Somewhat. And I would say I got to what I'd call the high point in making videos, where it was like euphoric. It was fun. You know, people were listening, people were talking, I was getting some hate, but sometimes when I got the hate, I would like laugh it off, and then the person would admit they were only hating because that's all they know how to do. You see something, you're not sure how to handle it, and you immediately start hating on it. That's a huge part of society, and it frickin' sucks. I'll even admit, the people on YouTube that I watch, a ton of, every now and then I look at them and I go, oh God, you're just so damn annoying. Why do I keep watching you? But I watch them for a reason. Some of their delivery's good. Some of their ideas are good. Some of the stuff they do is legitimately funny. Most of it is really stupid. But they got there for a reason, and they're going to keep doing what they're doing. I'd mention their names, but at this point, it doesn't really matter. So, I kept doing what I was doing. Things were pretty good. Then I reached what I call the dark days. Okay? I didn't mention this before, but I'll mention it now. The reason I started making YouTube videos was I was filling a gap. I'd gotten out of a really serious relationship, not really serious, but my first like serious relationship where like I lived with somebody. I broke up with her. She moved back home, and I had all this free time, and I was working this garbage summer job with a buddy of mine who I'm still friends with now, sort of. Fierce. Yeah, we're still friends. We play poker once in a while. Anyway, I was working this terrible job with him, and that's when I started making the videos, and it was kind of like filling this gap. And I did that for years. I went to school, worked my jobs, did videos. That was kind of it. And then I got to a point where the videos either needed to go from here to here, production style, and I needed to start taking on help and making more of a go of it, or I needed to focus on a career, having a job, living on my own. I needed to like pick. And there were a couple people that approached me. One who I'm still sort of friends with to this day. I have him on Facebook and we talk all the time. Who's now a professional bodybuilder. Although he used to be a guy who wanted to make movies. And he wanted to make movies about mixed martial arts. And he approached me and we talked and I looked at a couple scripts and had some ideas. And he wanted to put me in one of them as like a bit character. And I thought, this is cool. This goofy YouTube thing might lead to this thing. Yeah, it's a bit part in a movie, but it's something, right? And another guy approached me who had just bought like $3,000 worth of camera equipment because he wanted to do channel work. He wanted to do something. And he saw that I already had kind of a brand, I had an establishment, and he wanted to work with me. And I met with this guy. We went out for dinner, he brought all the equipment, he's showing it all to me. He's coming up with ideas. We did one video together. It was something about calling out haters. It was like, I was working at a gym at the time, and I recorded at the gym, and I remember smashing a keyboard, being like, come on, you guys are all talking crap, let's see you make some videos. Like, I wanted to stir up some funk, because there's a lot of people who liked it, or tapping, keyboard warriors, we used to call them. I don't know what they call it now, just straight up haters, Twitter beasts. We didn't have Twitter back then, okay? There was no Twitter, there was no Instagram, there was barely Facebook. Well, most of this stuff wasn't around. It wasn't. It didn't exist. Google had just bought YouTube. It was a completely different world back then, all right? We didn't have that. So the world was different. I don't know where I was going with this, but that's what happens to me sometimes. Anyway, I was calling the haters out. And I don't even remember what happened after the video. I just remember being at the gym, he had all his equipment set out, and he was using Adobe Premiere, which I still use. It drives me freaking nuts. If anyone else is having trouble with that 2018 update, oh my god, it goes so damn slow. It takes, like, the time it takes to record something, think of it, record it, and then edit it. The editing should be click, 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 not click. You mean not responding? Click, son of a bitch! And that's what it's turned into. Anyway, again, getting off topic. For the first time, I'm watching somebody else edit a video I made. And I'm thinking to myself, is this that next step? Is this that next step to something else? To this going somewhere else? Becoming something bigger? And I gotta admit, at the time, it kind of freaked me out. Because there was two choices. Either keep going down the direction I was going, working, getting a better job, moving out on my own. At that point, I think I was on my own. Or I was thinking about it. Because I know shortly after I stopped making videos, I was living on my own. So it was probably around that cusp time, which I'm guessing you can imagine what happened. Anyway, that moment was kind of like, I either need to commit to this and try and make a go of this, or I need to be more realistic. Now, I'm cursed with this evil voice in my head that makes me almost never take chances. And it's one of the reasons why I didn't try to commit to being an actor when I was younger. I went to acting school for 2 years, and I had the choice to either try and get into a career or move to Toronto, get a crappy apartment, work in a bar, and start going to auditions. I'm thinking you can imagine what I did. YouTube was like my compromise. It was my chance to say, I might not move to Toronto and try and become an actor, but I can do something. I can make something. And that's what I tried to do. And then it got to that point, and things just started coming off the rails. I mean, the guy lived in Toronto. I did not live anywhere near Toronto. So if I was going to make a video, and if it needed 1 or 2 days of shooting, that's me having to go there for who knows how many hours, twice a week. That's work I can't do. That's money I can't make. And there was no money in YouTube back then. I mean, if I was getting the views then, now, there might be something. Enough to say, well, I'm making at least $45 a month. That's something. That covers gas one way. They didn't have that back then. Like, the top 15 people were making money. It's a different game now, but anyway, back then. So, that's what happened. I kind of told this guy, I'm going to keep going in my direction, and I didn't go in that direction much longer. Because it felt like that was the train, I didn't take it, and now where am I? Shortly after that, and I remember this very vividly, I was at school, I had my camera with me, because I always had my camera with me. I put it in the pocket of my hoodie while I was taking a dump. Sorry for the visuals. When I was done, the hoodie was hanging on a hook on the door of the bathroom stall. I took it off, and the camera fell out. And it busted. After that, when I recorded, the focus would shift weird every 3 seconds. Took it in to try and get it fixed. They said they fixed it. It wasn't fixed. Took it back again. They said it can't be fixed. So then I'm out $500 to get a new camera. And at that point, I was just coming to the end. Everywhere I went, everyone always wanted to talk about the UFC. They wanted to talk about mixed martial arts. It was like that was what everyone wanted to talk to me about. I was getting constant messages. People adding me to MSN, dating myself, and adding me to Facebook. And all they ever wanted to do was talk about the fights. And I got sick of it. I got sick of it, all the time. I mean, if you really, really love something, shouldn't you want to talk about it all the time? And I did enjoy talking about it, but it was just too much. And now my camera's busted. I need money to get a new one. And it's like, it all just kind of crashed after that. And then life moved on. I moved on to something else. And I always felt like I wanted to go back to it. But now so much time's passed, I have to ask myself, who would even care? Would anyone care? Every now and then somebody will message me or somebody will find me and be like, oh my God, I thought you were dead. And it's like, it's cool. It's cool to like touch base and be like, oh no, you know, life happened. This is what happened. And now you're like this, you know, almost old dude who's trying to recapture something he did in his youth. A lot of us do it. I'm not hurting anybody. It's just fun. The characters are back. It's just fun. You know how fun it was to be Christopher the Destructor again? It was so fun to be the Phat Critic, who's the straight guy. The guy who's just like, what? And then Christopher, the guy who's like, oh, really? Just such a dick. And I want to bring Creepy Calvin back, but I can't find the hat. And it was supposed to be Christopher the Destructor in that last video with the hat, but I think I lost it. I lose everything. God damn. That's why I had to wear the stupid hoodie. Anyway, in between when I decided to stop and now, there's been a world of things that have happened. And I could go into all that. Maybe. Eventually. But for now, like today, I was thinking about a bunch of different video ideas to do, and every time I sat down, they just sucked. And I didn't like them, and I kept shutting down, and I didn't know why. And I feel like this is what I needed to do. Have a heart-to-heart with a camera. I feel like I needed to just vent about everything. And again, I don't expect anyone to care. I don't think anyone's even going to watch this video all the way through. But I like to think, you know, if I keep going, if I do build a bit of a fan base, the real ones, the good ones, the ones that are like, I wonder what his earlier stuff looks like, would go back and watch this and be like, God, this video is long. God, everything else is like 2 to 4 minutes. What the hell is this video about? And it's just him talking. My God, he never shuts up. I used to get that a lot. I used to get people saying I talk way too much, which is fine, because sometimes it's easier when it's one-to-one. When you're in a room full of like 9 people and everyone's trying to get their word in, I feel like there's no time for anything with real heart or feeling, because somebody's always going to interrupt or something's going to happen. So this is good. This has been good. Shut up out there! God damn it. Trying to make art in here. Oh, if there's one thing I would never refer to my videos as is art. Maybe it's on the spectrum. The artistic spectrum. God, I miss the IT crowd. So good. Anyway, this has been me yipping and yammering about everything. That's it, man. That's how it all started. And now back at the beginning, starting all over again. And it's like, I don't know. It's cool. It's different. I feel like this video was supposed to end. Now it feels like Return of the King. Come on, Frodo, let's get on the boat. Bilbo, you're so old. Where's Gandalf? Gandalf, not Gandalf. Oh, and by the way, I don't know about y'all, but I grew up saying smog. Okay? You hate me now? Maybe it's not right. Maybe it's not what Tolkien intended, but when I read it as a kid, smog. Okay? Smog. I acknowledge it's smog. Okay? There's no argument there. But to me, it's always going to be smog. And Michael Keaton's Batman, god damn it.